Greetings, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. Joined once again on a monthly episode. Monty, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great, Raj. How about yourself?
We're doing good here. So, Monty does have a new, lack of a headset, the usual one kaput. So, might sound a little different today, but I think definitely good enough to record. But we're going to be talking primarily about the new Saga FAQ that came out. So there was some rulebook stuff, and then mostly Age of Crusades. So we're gonna report on that. But as always, there's always a couple loose ends here, a couple things to address. So oops, forgot to calibrate my darn imagery, but Feast of Ravens is coming up, Monty. So
Yep.
as this is released, Feast of Ravens will be just a couple days after this comes out. So
That's right.
you are going to be playing in this sucker too?
I am going to be playing in it. I've got a TO, and then Scott and I are kind of like the rules TOs during the event. We're playing, and if there were any technical issues, we can hop in, and so we've got kind of a three-person team.
Awesome. I like the sound of that. So I'm assuming there's probably still some room yet. If somebody sees us on the fly, can jump in.
Yeah. Yes, they
in,
could. We have room.
Twin Cities, Minnesota. That should be fun. That's Age of Crusades and Age of Vikings, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that'll be fun with the new fact stuff. Maybe we can have a follow-up to this video once we see everything in action. If people take advantage, do people have to say what they're bringing, or do you know if it's Crusades
yes,
or?
I did ask, and the deadline is tomorrow. I've got a couple people who've rang in, a little bit of a mix, but I do think we will probably have some Age of Crusades stuff we can report out on or describe, talk about.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. If I had something, or if I was coming, and I do have something, yeah, I could bring some of the new stuff. So that'd be exciting. Fortunately, I will not be able to partake as I am heading to Advance the Colors, which is the following week. So this is 8 or 9 days after this video comes out. So that's Age of Vikings and Age of Hannibal and Alexander, ancient stuff. So nothing new there, although the javelin change will affect some play. I see.
Yes.
Carthaginians for sure. Lost a little tool there, but not really worried about it, as we shall see. So that one is over in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, I believe. So and I think there's room in those as well. Maybe I don't really know. Maybe there isn't, but yeah, just if you want to get in on it, I'm sure they can squeeze you in. All right. So our main topic today is the recent facts. So this has actually been out for pretty much since the last time we talked, as we were holding out. I heard from Alex it was really coming this time. He thought maybe he would send it over. We could chew on it, but ended up not coming. So we did the alternate topic, and then the day after we recorded, but before the video came out, so not great timing there, is when the FAQ landed. So, the video was already in the works and scheduled to go out, so we weren't able to address it, even though I think it came out the day before. So there's two kind of main rulebook changes that we can get into before we talk some Crusade stuff. So, Monty, the javelin changed. Do you want to explain?
Sure.
What's different, or if you don't have it up,
I do have it. I think it's a very good change. As a javelin player myself, you pretty much have one of two choices. If you want to multi-shoot with your javelin unit, you're going to have to use a die, activate for a shoot. You can use another die, activate for a shoot. If you don't want to do that, if you want to use your dice-free, fatigue-free, free javelin shoot, you could take one shot per javelin unit in your turn, and that's it. No stacking. You can't add extra shoots on top of that. So it kind of tamps down a little bit on the strategic method that people were using to kind of overshoot with javelin units. The key play in the past, like if you wanted to get multiple shots, was to put a die, activate that javelin unit to shoot, then follow it with your free shot, and then if you wanted to really stack it, put another die, a third shot, and after those shots, you only had one fatigue. So that's dead.
Yeah, so the double tap is gone. So with the changes to the javelins from the last time, basically if you ended within medium, basically it opened up a tactical play for the opponent on their turn, and obviously could move up and do stuff, but where any unit with javelins could shoot with a die or a wheel bay, and then they could do a free shot. And then, I mean, you could do. I never did the third one, Monty, and that's not my style to take the fatigue. But so every unit with javelins had all of a sudden had that new ability, and you could charge, then shoot. And I was like, well, I'll shoot 2 times. That seems a lot safer, a lot better. So this is great. I like this change, and I like how they left. It seems kind of odd, but they left. I mean, if you want to pay the dice, you can shoot normally. And I think what that does is open up the space for the battle boards, future battle boards, probably facts and stuff like that. So if an army, so every unit with javelins could do that double tap. Well, you could have a battle board ability now that basically replicates that specifically for like the Welsh or the Irish, so that's what they want to do. They want to give them that double tap, that extra shooting ability or something. Okay. So you could have a Saga ability that says shoot and then activate to shoot again for free or something like that. So I think it opens up the Saga ability design space, and we saw some significant changes with Age of Crusade. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that for Irish or Welsh in particular are probably the two that come to mind that should be able to probably do that double tap and shoot more than any other javelin arm faction, for example. So really like this. Kind of vindicates some of the decisions made at a Adepticon tournament for the shooting restriction. As in addition to this change, there's been just kind of shooting dings across the board in addition to this on many of the other factions. So it seems like there's a recognition that shooting is a little too reliable or not fun, maybe a combination somewhere thereof, and they're taking steps to redress it. So I played as the Welsh after this came out of Saga Storm, and I reported on that in the Patreon video last month. You played the Irish.
Yep.
And so how did you get on with this change?
Right.
For your games?
Just fine. I mean, I should be really clear. Like Saga Storm game day, it's a fun game day, and so I, just me, made the decision that playing the Irish, I would take my hero, my Curad, and my Warlord, and as it turns out, my personal champion all have Dane axes.
Okay, cool.
And then on top of that, I did not use a single shooting ability in the day's event, and that was just a personal choice. Like I wanted to play fighty Irish, and let me tell you that just taking vanilla javelin shots along with the Dane axes was enough to have fun and mix it up and make for some really choppy, bloody battles.
Yeah, so you can kind of lean into really going for melee. So if you want to do additional damage, you can just do your one dinky shot and call it good.
Yep.
And so it was interesting. I was playing the Welsh against the Anglo-Danes. So normally that would be, he could just move up and ending his turn next to me would be like a terrible idea. I would just machine gun him down. Now he can move up. I can still take my shots. And then it's like, you don't quite have as many dice rolls And so the variability comes into play. And, we know you can take 15 or 20 shots and nothing happens.
Exactly.
Where if you do 30 to 40 shots, something, they're going to come back around by the end of it.
Yes, they will.
So it just adds a little bit more variability. You can move up, get close range, take your licks. You're going to get that shot, but you're not going to get just massively blown off the table or anything like that. So I thought it made all my games a lot funner, and it kind of opened up the space, I think, for trying to be more aggressive with the fighters, utilize the +1 to hit, and then followed up with the free shot. So I thought it was great. Had a lot of fun. So let us move on to the other change here. So, and that is, there's several abilities that essentially will allow you to resurrect models previously killed. They were pretty rare, but not quite as rare as they once were after this fact here. So this just clarifies that you count the massacre points at the end of the game, not as you go, essentially, So if you kill a model, they remove the figure, they bring it back, you kill that again, they remove that same figure. You don't kill it 2 or 3 times, you get 2 or 3 points, you count at the end. And so in Age of Magic with the undead, those abilities specifically said that was how it worked in the ability description. So that's how it's always worked in Age of Magic. It's just in those other cases in the historicals where that wasn't the case. So fixed a couple, really one or two. I can only think of one ability actually, but they've added a couple. So I think that makes sense. Monty, your thoughts?
I like it a lot, and I've taken some time looking at the changes, especially let's say the resurrection ability for the Ordenstat is going to be kind of a keystone, I think, for that board going forward. And so now it's very clear. You don't have to argue with your buddy on how to treat those points. It's right there in the FAQ.
Yeah, I think it's a good change. I think it's intuitive, makes sense. And that is it for the book, the rule book.
Yep.
So for the Age of Crusades facts, so this was pretty extensive and I think pretty exciting. I don't like additional paperwork, cutting things out aspect, but I think we can agree that it's better to have a fresh game where it's dynamic and things are changing from time to time rather than being set in stone. So I think we could probably maybe just go page through page here. We're not going to address everything, but if anything jumps out at you, you can speak up. But for overall impression, Monty, did you, so some of these factions have five abilities have been changed. Dude, is that exciting for you or more concerned?
It's super exciting. And dude, I'm ready to go at this any way you want. I had personally, of course, this would be the kind of thing that is a hot take. I'd sorted my battle boards into winners and losers, and then I kind of sifted them a little further. The people who got hit the hardest and maybe the ones who maybe got boosted the best. But we don't, that's all conjecture, but an opinion, but it's fun. Yeah, I love it to death. In fact, it's part of the reason that I am going to be taking an Age of Crusades warband because I've never got to test this, and I'm going to test it in real time. I'm going to take it to a tournament.
All right, cool. That sounds good. Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of the changes didn't improve or weaken abilities. They changed abilities outright. So you're okay with abilities being changed outright, Monty?
Oh yeah, I feel like I have no actual insider knowledge about this, but I feel like a little bit of this level set is that they also probably had the Age of Chivalry boards out, and you kind of have to do this mental exercise of how will these two worlds play together, because they have sold it that or said that the goal is Age of Chivalry will be able to play into Age of Crusades.
Yeah, that I think is very astute. I would agree with that. I don't have any extra insight or anything on this either, but so what I think happened and what caused the delay for the Crusades FAQ was originally Chivalry was going to be its own thing and meant to be separate, and I believe Marcus Monty had a very old interview with Julie, one of the authors, which said that. And then later on, that maybe got changed to Alex saying, well, it's meant to be with Crusades. You know, Crusades and Chivalry are meant to play together. And so if there was like a change, you know, that's like a material change or something, well, then you have to like go back and retest all the boards and everything. And so we know in Chivalry there isn't really javelins or heavy weapons, but there's plenty of javelins and heavy weapons in the Age of Crusades. So it's possible, you know, those play styles weren't going to be compatible with the new boards, you know, javelins are a tasty option here. But, you know, with the fact, I think they're a little more balanced than maybe they used to be. So there was a clash of play styles. So, you know, some of these play styles have had to change to become, you know, more palatable with the Age of Chivalry boards. Too big of outliers. So if that might have changed, you know, just like last year or something, you know, there could have been a perspective shift, and so you need another year to kind of go through all that play test and do it all. And you know, this might be I think the Chivalry book is basically done. They've shown a photo that the final pictures were done and everything. And so I think that since we have this, I think Chivalry's on its way, and they probably were being tested together until the end.
Nice.
Say, Monty. But that's just a guess. We don't have secret info. Sometimes we do have secret info, but not this time. So here's a interesting thing. First page, the Crusader board for the Baltic Crusaders. Levies are equipped with bows, and up to one unit can have crossbows.
Okay.
So I just saw that. I didn't see that before. That's quite interesting there.
Yeah.
So I think Levy with crossbows are probably the best unit in the game. Monty, do you? Slightly ahead of no special equipment Levy. It's kind of we're getting spicy here, but
yeah. I mean, that's the hard part. Having played into Adam's 2 Levy crossbow build.
Sometimes he would do 3 crossbows.
Dude, it was just like, and I had the months, and I'm like, oh, I can deal with this. I have rerolls, and I'm going to do these spicy things. No. The +1 means your Hearthguard, your valuable Hearthguard, and your Warlord die like warriors, and your warriors die like Levy. They're taking this. So yeah, when I read that one, I kind of breathed a sigh of relief.
Plus, he can shoot Levy, and that's like amazing. Hitting at 2s,
right?
So, yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's fair. Say that's just another little. We talked about dings to shooting being sprinkled throughout, so that's one right there. War Drummer, Monty, did you ever play Mongols? Were you a Mongol
I
man?
have played into them, but I have not played them myself. And the War Drummer. Is there anything better than a unit that activates your entire warband to go forward? That's spicy right there.
So the War Drummer had a couple changes. So the first one you see up front is you're like, ooh, dang, that's a big hit there. So the activating whatever it was, everything with an L is gone as the War Drummer's special rule. He increases your Warlord's We Obey range to L, but we'll see the battle board has an ability that basically the language is it's not the same. I guess we'll take a look when we get there, but it's bad. He's still activating a bunch of units when he's around, but the mechanics of it are gone. But if you were a Mongol player and you just saw that first bit before you looked at the second bit, you'd be, well, that's just great. How am I supposed to play that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting, the sailors. So they were pretty much the most mediocre mark unit you could probably get, but they're quite interesting now. So especially interesting with the pagan raiders being able to take like unit after unit of these. So I would say this is hands down an improvement. And as a merc unit, they needed an improvement, I would say, but as an army of pagan raider mercs, I don't maybe it's a bit much, but so instead of gaining 4 attacks, you get 2 attacks, a +1 to hit, and the enemy can increase their armor. So you know you're going to be doing a ton of damage, which is great combined with that Saxon board, get an extra attack dice, everything else. So I think that's pretty darn juicy. All right, let's get into the battle board. So did you say you didn't get that was kind of your assignment, Monty, to try to get a game in. Are you saying?
I did get a game in.
You did get one in? Oh, awesome.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so I got one as well. And so we can kind of give our thoughts on these, but we don't play all these warbands, so we might be a little short and sweet here. But
right.
Monty, I'm going to say you're a Muslim, resident in-house Muslim expert here at Saga Thursday. So I'm going to give command of this next page to you. But for the Saracens battle board with these changes here, we talked about changing play styles. So I think there are some changes in some other ones, but did the Saracens battle board play style change with these, or?
I maybe just a little bit, but the Saracens are very intriguing to me. I haven't played them. I've played into them, but maybe for me, again, these are all hot takes, right? We haven't had the luck or luxury of playing all these boards. The appeal to the Prophet for a single common until the end of the turn when you activate a mounted unit. Before you resolve the activation, you may designate a foot non-mercenary unit within S and activate it for movement. So you're getting a multi-activation there, and the efficiency, like your warlord is on a horse, so that's a mounted unit. Your betting your composite bowmen are on horses, so like you can build an army kind of foot / a mix of foot and horse.
Sure,
and with appeal to the Prophet, you can have very efficient movement efficiency. As step one, building out your Saracen board, less dice need to go into activations, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you can see, I didn't really see that before, but you could combo that with Thoroughbred, activate 2 units, and if they're within foot units, this is on top of it. You get 4 units for 2 dice, in addition to the fatigue-free stuff at Thoroughbred. That's really cool. I think, it really encourages having a mixed force. So I felt like the Saracens were kind of had just like a little bit of everything. Maybe Hearthguard, I think, without composite bows, but warriors with composite bows. But warriors on foot are good. Take a unit of Levy or something, is always good. So it seemed like a combined arms type approach. So I think that really encourages things. The shooting here, I don't know how it changed or if it changed. So composite bow shooting is always a little tricky. The balance of that unit versus a javelin armed isn't quite comparable, I think, to most folks. So you need a little help from the battle board. So it looks like this is a little help from the battle board.
Yep.
Overall looks cool. Definitely interested in running it someday.
Same.
Now, Monty, the people want to know, did you get to play the one game you played? Were you running the Mutatawea?
I was running the Mutatawea. Okay. Oh, how did you know that?
All right. So one change there, but very nice change here. So I'll let you explain it. So what it's replacing was a very risky ability, right? Reroll all defense dice, I believe until the start of your next turn for both you and your opponent. So it was like, is that good for you? Well, It could be. Yeah, maybe not. So this replaces it with a resurrection ability. So I think this is pretty cool. Why don't you say how it works?
Sure. Designate a unit and roll 2 dice, 4 if you use a rare. For each result higher than the armor and melee of the designated unit, add 1 figure to this unit within VS of another model without exceeding its starting number of models. So in my game, not really giving anything away here, I had a shortage of rares, and like Mortal Blow loves your rares, Fight to the Death loves your rares. So late game, I rolled like some extra rares. I tucked one in here. I picked up 4 dice, trying to revive a warrior unit that was beat up. And on 4 dice, I rolled 1 5, so I brought 1 warrior back. It wasn't exactly decisive. Didn't win me the game, but I never use the other ability. You literally could have put a sticker over it for as many times 0 as I ever used it. So now at least you have something that, you might choose to use it. For example, like a quick hot thought is if you did decide to take warrior bow, the armor 3 guys, they're going to die pretty easily, and it would be easier to bring those guys back on a rare than anyone else in your warband.
Yeah, I think it's cool that the way that it was phrased. So it adds some utility with the bow troops. So before, with the bow guys, you could take them, they do something the warband can't do, shoot, but, well, there's Allah Akbar, but, kind of didn't jive necessarily. I mean, going from armor 3 to 2 was a big hit, so you can only use one of those abilities. So it was kind of tough utilizing the battle board with them. But if you're bringing them back quicker, it's kind of, I think it goes from being, you're kind of wondering if you should have done it or not, to always being like, I'll take a bow unit. It has a utility to it, because you could see, some of those turns you just don't want to engage or something. You can load up 2 or 3 dice on Allah Akbar with bow guys.
Yep.
Try to do the damage, and then try to reliably bring back a few of those guys. And so, you could see a turn where you eliminate 4 or 5 or 6 enemy figures, and the 3 guys you sacrificed to do it, you brought back with a good roll.
Nice.
You could also see those turns where you spent 4 or 5 Saga dice and managed to kill 3 of your guys and none of the enemy.
It happens.
For the usual. So I think it's pretty cool. I think there's a decent play there. Load up with the rare, like on turn 2, and go for like a gutsy Hejira, sacrifice a Hearthguard, get some big plays, and then I'm going to roll 4 dice, and hopefully one of these is a 6. Brings them right back, and I'm right back to where I started.
Yeah,
make it
paid for the play.
Make it a 2-die kind of ability potentially. So I think it's pretty cool. I did play my game that I got in was against the Mutts, and it was like you. He used it maybe 2 times, and each time brought back warrior or something like that. So not game breaking or anything. Kind of cool. There's some dice involved, so you just don't know. There's going to be some hot games where you bring back 8 or 10 guys, and there's other games where you just like, why am I putting this here? Because it's not doing anything. Is there a difference, Monty, in the rare versus you'd put a rare here, but you wouldn't put a common?
I mean, so this goes back to my play style. So the uncommon is the building block for all of these juicy plays. Your long charges with like Jin, Bloodbath, Hijra, Fanaticism, all those things need an uncommon. So my hunch is, unless like you threw a hand of like, mostly uncommons, you might have trouble sparing it. And if I'm going to roll some dice to try to bring some guys back, gosh, I'd rather roll 4 dice than 2. But, it all depends on, like, you're the warlord. You're sitting in that chair. You rolled your dice. So, but for me, I would lean for, since it's, for warriors, it's only a 50% chance to bring them back. Or no, actually, it's not 50%. It is a third of a chance.
3, yeah.
Yeah. So I want 4. I'm greedy. But I also understand your play on Hijra too. That's interesting. Trying to hit on that 6 and bring your sacrificial Hearthguard figure back. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's worth a crack. I don't know, it's tough to say. If you're loading those 2 dice up on whatever that defensive one, this is also a reaction. So you got 3 dice loaded up before you've even done anything. So how are you going to bring the fight?
Right.
So this
kind of it's a trap.
Brings it. Yeah. So, I mean, the Mutts can be an aggressive board, but they can also just switch and be very defensive. And actually, I've seen people play defensively more than aggressively, honestly, with this board. So I think this kind of puts it a pip back towards defensively, honestly, because you're soaking up another die. So it's just harder to do what you want to with the remaining dice. So you see, if you're rolling 6 dice, you probably want 7 or 8 to start, but if you're down to 6, that's half.
Yeah.
If the 2 dice defensive is an auto load up, and this one, that's 3 dice to do something else. It's not a lot, but we shall see. I think it's cool. I think it's fair. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty themey. So what's happening, Monty? Are these guys just getting back up off the ground? Like, it looked like they died, but they're dusting themselves off.
They've got recruits. The recruits are right off the edge of the battlefield, and they're yelling like, pick me, and the captain subs them in.
All right. Moore's Battle Board. So a couple of these were already fact. I think maybe the first 2. I know Discord changed. It used to be, I don't know. You used to be 3 fatigues, but was it like a reaction though, or
it was orders reaction. So your opponent wouldn't get flat-footed; they would see what they are. But you're trying. I think the strategy was to try to bury them in fatigue. But you had to put 3 on your own, and then people would set up little fatigue eaters. It might be the warlord plus 2 4 packs, or 2 6-packs of Levy archers, and you just keep burying them in fatigue.
Yeah. So similar idea. Put a fatigue on your own, but since it's orders phase, you can just rest that off and even attack, so it just kind of makes it more of an aggressive play versus more of a attrition wear and down ability. Torrent of Iron got changed into activating 2 units of Hearthguard. Remove a fatigue. You could rest, you could remove a fatigue, and then you activate for a charge, increase their armor. So I think the more Hearthguards have javelins.
Yes, they do.
That takes them up to a 5, which is respectable. It's a rare and a common. I think people weren't overly pleased with this change. I think the old ability was a little janked up or whatever, because they could cancel the sequence or whatever and just kind of end the ability. If you were fatigued or something. So I think this is cool. Kind of encourages you to take another Hearthguard unit. I think that's probably what it is. People don't like taking that second Hearthguard unit, Bonnie. So they're like, well, I'm not gonna use this. Would you use this with a single Hearthguard unit, Monty?
Oh man, that's spendy. If somehow my single Hearthguard unit had a fatigue, see, this is a little bit.
Well, you could have 2 fatigues on them. And still be fresh. So
recommend a fatigue from each. Yeah, if I had a fresh Hearthguard unit, I don't think I pay a rare and a common for a charge. And really, what you're getting, the bonuses you're getting, is my armor goes up by 1. I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as I think, though. You're raising your armor.
I think it's terrible thing. It's pretty good if you think about it. So if you do have 2 Hearthguard units, removing a fatigue from each of them. Well, removing a fatigue is a Saga dice, typically. So that's 2. You're getting 2 activations, and you can do anything. You're not even limited to a charge, so you can do whatever you want. So that's 2 more dice, and increasing your armor in Saga is a 2 dice ability. When units trigger that ability, it's always a 2 dice ability. So you're doing that 2 times potentially. So you're getting 8 Saga dice worth of utility out of a 2 dice here. One's a rare, one's Is that a common? I think that's common.
Yeah,
So
common.
I think that's pretty good because you only get 8 Saga dice
Right.
to do stuff with. So I like it. I would run two Hearthguard units. I don't care, and I would do this. And maybe I regret it, but I don't know. I'd have fun, Monty.
Yes, you would.
All right, and could be pretty juicy with the. So the old ability didn't work great with the Umayyads from Age of Vikings. So this fully works with that. Because I think that had language to do with shooting or something like that. So I know the Umayyad Hearthguard are just melee Hearthguard. So they go from armor 5 to armor 6 with this. So we know
it does say designate up to 2 mounted Hearthguard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is the Umayyad allowed to take mounted Hearthguard? I thought they were foot, but I could be
wrong. Oh, are they
foot?
Yeah, I thought they were mounted.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Oh, if they were mounted and then they weren't fighters. I mean, they weren't javelin. Okay. I'd have to look. I've forgotten at this point. Yeah, that would be super juicy with them.
Let's see. We can solve. Monty, we're good at raising questions, but we don't usually answer them on air. Let me.
Oh, but I gotta have my Age of Viking book, and I don't think I have it.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna solve it right now.
I want to hear.
Give us a moment, people. I'm almost there.
Yes, this is the best suspense.
Yeah, they could be on. They can be on foot or they can be on horse.
Okay, so they can. They're mounted, so the Umayyad will love.
So you'd have to be. Yeah, you'd have to be mounted, but.
Oh, armor 6. Who doesn't love that?
Mm-hmm. Pretty tasty. Okay, inspiration is similar. It might be different. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
All right. Big one here, Byzantines, Monty. Lead us through these changes while I cackle with glee.
I'm gonna I want to set it up a little, but I also want to be kind, because I have a number of friends who love the Byzantines. The issue with the Byzantines before these changes was that they tended to be very tanky, very static, and they were, I'm going to just say it, they were virtually unbreakable. If the scenario allowed them to just sit in one place and just say, come at me, bro, you were not going to shift them. There are comrades' shields and face the barbarians, and the efficiency of all the Levy actions, they would shoot you off the table.
Yeah, so they could take multiple units of Levy, it was a good idea. No special equipment Levy, we know are good. Their crossbow Levy, you already said, probably the best unit of the game. They could take 1 or 2 units of those. You can sneak in some bow Levy because the multi-shots have a place. And so right off the bat, that Acolythus ability was one way you could activate those Levy units, basically activate 2 Levy units for a die. So that has been swapped out for activate a mounted unit for a movement that generates no fatigue. So their warriors are composite bow warriors. So this is more meant to push you towards a different play style. And the defensive ability or comrades shields, I believe, was foot units only before.
Yep, it was.
But now it's switched to mounted units only. So again, switching you towards warriors and Hearthguards. And then face the barbarians is different from before. Before, I believe, it was just pure defense, rerolling 1s and 2s and a bunch of defense dice. So now it's gives you some attack dice too, a little bit. So just kind of a balanced ability. So it's not quite as defensive. So if you do want to take those Levy shooters, you're going to find it harder to activate them and not be as reliable in keeping them alive. But they are a little, you can maybe do more damage if the enemy comes in. So definitely cool stuff here. I think this is great. So change the play style towards the mounted troops, potentially Hearthguard. Again, people don't like the Hearthguard, so they don't want to use abilities for the Hearthguard. They just would rather take the reliable old Levy and move them across. So should be pretty cool. Right, Monty?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty big change, and I think people, it's early days. I think people need to roll it out and kind of, see if they can embrace the change, see if they can find that build that sings, it certainly will have to be different than what it was before.
Yeah, and I could see, some of these warbands had a play style. Now the play style is different, and if you built your models around that,
Right.
I mean, that's not a big deal. People are building models constantly, so but it's okay to, well, I like that play style, that's why I built it. So you're allowed to feel that way, but also think change is good, keeps things interesting.
Good. Yep.
Militis Christi here, Monty, you got some of these boys.
Yep.
In the paint queue, or I mentioned, yeah, they're on the way.
Order? I was hoping to paint and play them this weekend. That's kind of fallen apart, but I did play them in TTS. And let me say, Militis Christi, in my opinion, along with Ordenstadt, is probably the top two improvements. These are super solid improvements. This is going to be a faction that people will be running.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not familiar with the abilities enough to comment on any of the changes here, but if you say it's looking good and juicy, Monty, I'm there. Sounds good to me.
I know we have a lot to cover, but I guess if I can boil it down, it was harder before to feed Orison, and Orison is how you're blocking enemy hits through shooting or from killing.
Hits, yeah. So.
Right. Exactly. Cancel an enemy hit. But with Resolve and Spilt Blood, you've got a very, very nice ability to just straight up, you have empty Orison and you don't even have to really panic about it. You can feed 2 in through Resolve and feed another one in through Spilt Blood. And Divine Aid, who doesn't love auto hits? That is amazing. I love auto hits.
Yeah. It's only 3, though. Caps out at 3.
I mean, true. But if I put those 3, since we're playing in the Age of Crusades, if I put those 3 on your Hearthguard or your Warlord...
I don't like where you're going there, Monty. Let's just end this conversation.
It was tough. I played my Mutts. I played a very vanilla build of Mutts because my Saga buddy was like, "Oh, I want to try this," and I had no idea what his experience level was with Militis Christi. Turns out he played them plenty, so I kind of got a little bit of an ass kicking because because he knows how to play them and saw all the defensive buffs. And my little tricks kind of fell apart, but yeah, I was in one play. It was just one play, but I thought this was a nice click up for the Militis Christi.
Awesome. Well, the next one down here, the Spanish, Monty. I know you've played those guys. I think the big one here is Iberia.
Yeah.
Is an orders reaction movement instead of an activation reaction that you would trickle out, over the course of the turn. You're going to do all your retreats up front.
Yep.
So just I would say that's worse, probably.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then they Unites, I don't know if that's the same from before. Maybe it is. Yeah, I think it is the same. It doesn't have a new on it. Or maybe the new from Spanish.
I think it's a change, but dude, here's my problem. I'm so sorry. If I thought this through, I stickered it up. And by stickering it up, I've stickered over what it used to be. So it's a little tricky for me to talk about what it used to be. I do think it's a change. I think
Unitas was 1 unit before. So this says 2.
Yeah, 2.
Maybe I was confused on that. But Determination. Now, the Spanish battle board is a Javelin heavy board, right?
Yep. Yes, it is.
So they're taking a little ding to their shooting potential, as discussed earlier as well. So probably just a change to make it easier to play against. Hopefully you could see, I don't know, like the Welsh battle, you could see some of those moving to orders reaction. I think it's simpler that way, a little less of a cerebral load and less of an advantage. Just having an activation reaction is so powerful. I've mentioned that loads of times. So interesting. Could be an indicator of changes to come, or it could just be a one-off thing because you could do it more than once. it's got to be limited in some capacity, but I don't think the Spanish were kicking teeth in that much necessarily. So
No.
I have to wonder how the change works. This might be one where in the age of chivalry, having a heavy Spanish or a heavy javelin warband or something is a little unbalancing or something against the chivalry warbands, for example, who don't have that kind of stuff. So maybe it's a victim of that. All right, Crusaders. So I do know a couple of these changes were changed from melee or shooting to just melee.
Yep.
So you couldn't combo those with some crossbow shots any longer. And Peasants Crusade was changed. You cannot shoot anymore. For that one, you used to be able to do fatigue-free shooting. For
there
now,
we go.
it was limited. So this one has taken some shooting dings across the board. So I don't think it was ever meant to be a shooting warband, but so they're just reinforcing that or what they're doing here. So that's the main change there. You're going to be more of a melee focus. The Polish battle board, Monty.
Yep.
This one has changed here. Oh, the line has changed again. Or not again. The Clash. Or maybe it's the same as what it was. I don't know. I haven't looked at this board that much. Monty, is there a change in the play style with these changes? There's 5 differences here.
Yeah. So this is a little tricky for me because I have played the Polish 0 times. I played into them, and some players like Andy Lyon and a few others have had some success by playing what I think most people in the community kind of looked at as like they couldn't figure out really what to do with this board. Hold the Line has changed because I thought it used to be all foot units,
but
it was
now
all
it's units.
A1. And all is obviously pretty tough because, like, what are you going to do? Like, you don't have to guess where my target is. You just play it. And now they have to, like, designate a unit. So that's a downgrade. I think people were saying Vovoid was a downgrade because it was a multi-activation. It was like he could move a lot of people.
You could do whatever activation you wanted. So the multi-activation is limited now to a charge.
Okay.
With 2 bonus attack dice, and I don't know, just the wording of it is a little different there. So if you took a couple Levy bow units, maybe not as tasty as it once was. Shlotka changed.
Right.
It's better, but it's a rare now instead of 2 uncommons or whatever that is. Because you used to just give them a -1 to hit. Now it's a +1 for yourself and a -1 for them. That's pretty good if you get it off.
Yeah.
That's pretty tasty there. So I know they have problems dishing out additional attack dice. So +1 to hit, -1. That's pretty good. So all right, Monty, Ordenstadt.
Oh yeah.
Activation pool is gone.
Yeah.
See ya. There's an uncommon up there where you have to remove models as casualties, and you can roll additional Saga dice with that. So you can't use a rare up there, but an uncommon, you're probably going to get that. So it's kind of interesting dynamic. You have to kill your own guys. Den of Battle, this is juicy.
Yeah.
Is the shield the rare?
It is rare, so it's spendy, but you're putting 2 fatigue out.
Yeah. That's good.
But limited attacker. See, this is interesting. Only. There definitely is, like, the wording, got to really read it all the way through before you play. The Ordenstadt need to be a pedal to the metal aggressive warband, and they will, I think, be killing their own guys to juicing up all their abilities. And then you'll see at the end here, they have an ability to help address that.
Yeah, so Knock Osten
so good.
Used to be all units, and that could kind of create some weird unintended consequences. So now you can just choose which units you want to activate. Dark Cross, Dark Pure Hearts.
Yep.
When I saw that one was pretty much the same, or I don't know what's different with that one. I was like, why did they do that?
Right.
Still not going to use that. But then I see enlist below.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe I will use that now.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And list. Monty, hit us with it.
Orders reaction. So you have your bloody turn, and then it comes to your opponent's turn. He's placing your dice. Designate warrior or levy unit within L of a unit of Hearthguard. Add 2 models, parentheses, 3 if they're levy, to this unit. Add 1 additional model if a rare is used without exceeding the starting number of models. So, we already touched about how the rule book was FAQ'd that you're not going to be counting the units that cycle in and out. So being able to, on a common and uncommon or rare, right? You could do this every turn, and why wouldn't you if you're juicing your other abilities by removing friendly figures? So I think Enlist, without having played this board even once, I was eyeing this board too, and I was like, gosh, this looks fun. You're
Makes
gonna
Yahanam not look quite as tasty as it originally did.
and I got to tell you, I mean, people will figure it out as time goes by, but why wouldn't you be bringing like levy units? You're just grabbing up, one goes here and one goes here and one goes into Servants of God, and then I play a common and I bring them back, and you just keep this, cycle of maximizing your abilities, mining your levy unit or units, plural, and getting your maximum saga dice if you get those uncommons under Servant of God. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Orders reaction, so you gotta put the dice up there and kind of wait a turn. And it's got to be with an L of friendly Hearthguards. So this is, people don't like taking the Hearthguards, but it's really kind of forcing you to do that. And this is one where, probably 1 or 2 units is probably a good idea. It's pretty easy. It wasn't fact, but that upper right, I think you can get 2 or 4 defense dice, and then you sacrifice a guy, you can get 3 more. So you can reliably get 5 or 7 defense dice on a Hearthguard unit. So keeping it alive. You could use this Dark Crosses, Pure Hearts if you need to just keep the Hearthguard alive at all costs, just to keep this ability going. There'll definitely be makes the Hearthguard a target, so you do want to keep them in back, keep them safe, let your schlubs out there do the damage, and then finally when it's safe, the Hearthguard will come out and finish the enemy off. So changes the dynamic a little bit there. Will be a lot more interesting when me and Zach resume the Thimble Winter campaign. We got 2 more games. So we haven't gotten it in yet. Tried to this month. Hopefully the following month here we can keep it going. So Eastern Princes, the ad nauseum ability was fixed in a little bit of a way. Instead of re-rolling a third of your hit or a sixth of your hits, if you don't have heavy weapons or javelins, you re-roll a third of them on a 1 or 6. And it'll be that thing too. If you roll like complete garbage, this will still maybe do something versus before you could pop this, roll like trash, and it does nothing because you didn't even get a high enough number to begin with to do anything. So I like that change. Droog changed once again. I did get a game in with this one, so it's pretty cool that your supporting unit could be a levy or a warrior unit. You gain attack or defense dice equal to their armor in melee. So I would say the ad nauseum ability is kind of a move away from heavy weapon warriors. And I would say this Droog ability is also a move away from heavy weapon warriors. And a little juicier for the Russian version versus the Lithuanian. And same thing with ad nauseum. So I kind of like the Russians a little bit better after these changes, but overall it's pretty fun to play this stuff. And they kept Timorous Advance pretty much the same. I don't know, they reworded it, but still a cornerstone ability. All right, Monty here. Pagan Peoples, you've been waiting. You've been chomping at the bit, wondering how they're going to slash and burn. And I would say they probably honestly probably came out better than before. So a shooting army that has remained intact. So obviously I would like to run the Levy javelins and I would shoot the tar out of people. And maybe I would reconsider that in light of the javelin change. But Puha Yarv just got basically better. You can use that every turn, max out. Yeah, before you were limited in when you could actually use it. Terra Vita went from 2 dice to 1 dice, and it just gives you bonus shots or bonus melee. That's fine. I'd rather it just be 1 dice like this. And Vein of Luck was already fact like that. So I would say the peeps made it through unscathed. I might change my army a little bit, but I think other people would just run the exact same thing they've been taking all along. Finally, the big one here, Monty, the Mongols. So let's go back to the drummer. And so the bow and the lance change, activate up to 3 units amount of warriors that have a friendly war drummer in line of sight. Wow, okay, so that's like unlimited distance. They can move without fatigue. And if you don't have a drummer, you can still just move a unit there. So the drummer is activating two additional units and increasing your warlord's wheelbay range. And for half a point, I think that's pretty good, pretty fair.
Yeah.
What do you say, Monty?
Yeah, I like it. That's a nice sub in.
The other ones, do you know what's really changed there? They added some juice.
Oh man, this is hard because I stuck them over the abilities here too. Sorry.
No worries. So I'm going to assume they got better because people are pretty excited about the Mongols.
Yes, they are.
And the bow and the lance is, well, it's a move with no fatigue. So I don't think they really had that before. So this is 3 fatigue-free movements versus activating your whole warband essentially. So given you might rather just have the fatigue-free movements. So maybe that is an upgrade. Yeah. And so maybe these ones are better as well. I know the Scourge of the Steppes used to have a limitation. You couldn't rest or shoot when you switched them to javelins. So now you can just switch them to javelins and you can still rest and you can still fight and you can still shoot. So that's a lot better, I would say.
Lot better.
Looking pretty good, pretty tasty.
Yeah. Nice.
So
nice.
Monty, did you want to get into your ranking or winners, losers? We don't normally like to say
it's I know it's silliness, right?
We'll indulge.
I think based on no games played, I want to pick. This was tough for the biggest winners, the Milites Christi. Really, I had only seen one person in all the years that I played Age of Crusades really make the Milites Christi work before the FAQ. And then I saw them bust out all of their tricks and feed Orison effortlessly and just really have a great time with this simplified board. So it's a big pick. I also know the Ordenstat, having run them myself, how difficult this was. Enlist, I feel like unlocks everything else on the board. I feel like it's a little bit of a mental load, but I think you can freely burn up your friendly figures to juice all your abilities. And then in your opponent's turn, then, put them back and keep that cycle going for as long as you can. So between those two, let's say, I think actually maybe the Ordenstat got the biggest boost from where they were pre-FAQ.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So only, this was 4 or 5 bellies that have changed. But there's still some stinkers on there that weren't great. But now with Enlist, though, then it's like, okay, I'll pay that price because I can recoup it. It's sort of more fair kind of using. So there's still some junky abilities. I think when it starts going wrong, it'll probably continue to go wrong, the way some of those abilities play out. But I would agree with that. Probably the biggest differential from before. For me, the winner is the pagan peoples. I think
Okay.
Just because they didn't really, the Puha Yarv got much better because it had a specific limitation before.
Yep.
Tara
Yep.
Vida, I think is better than before. I would rather choose the effect for 1 dice. And it was already a top tier warband before. It had trouble. Maybe with some of the other ones, if we're thinking about Crusades, they were maybe taken down a notch or their play style has changed where the pagan peoples just pick right up where they left off. No significant change there. But a lot of cool stuff here. Obviously, want to play all the war bands and try out all the changes.
Yep.
So, Monty, are you bringing a Crusades faction?
I am.
To Feast of Ravens and going to use some of these abilities?
Yep.
Do you want to say?
I have to. Right?
Have you decided?
What am I going to bring? So, oh man, dude. So I was going to do the Crusaders factions so that I could play my newly painted Knights of St. Lazarus, but that's fallen apart. So now I have to work with what I have painted. So I have narrowed it down to the Moors and the Saracens, and they each have some nice juicy changes here. So like I'm on a knife's edge and I need to decide. Deadline is like staring me in the face. So, so soon I need to pick one of these two, and that'll be what I'll take.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Monty. Do you have 2 units of Hearthguard? Is that the question?
Yeah, I could do that, but I gotta be honest. Oh, dude, so I'm gonna sound like everyone else. When you do the 2 units of Hearthguard, like, what's the issue? The issue is generally 2 units of 4, or 2 units of 5, or 2 units of 6. And by the time you get up to 2 units of 6 Hearthguard, that's half your army. You add in a point of archers, maybe Levy archers, just because maybe you don't really need them. But I mean, you are like hard committed to those two units.
Honey, the value, 8 dice for the cost of 2.
Okay.
Surely.
You've given me something to chew on. You've given me something to chew on.
Plus, I know. I'm just thinking now for the Saracens, one of their actually really good abilities before was Appeal to the Prophet with 2 rares.
Yeah.
You gain resilience too, so that's gone now.
It's gone.
With this activation type ability, so that might dissuade you.
The other one was so spendy. I can't remember. Well, I think I have actually seen someone bust out 2 rares on me.
Bonnie, it's looking even better now. It's looking even better.
Right. But I mean, it's nice. Each of them, just to shine a light on it, the multi-activations. The Moors have their Perseverance, activate 2 units afoot or 2 units mounted, or with a rare 3. That's fabulous on 1 die. Appeal to the Prophet, they're getting the same kind of value for common. If you build your warband right, you can move your ponies around, and then your foot units get basically a free move before the mounted unit moves. So there's like each of them have some nice multi-activations.
Right. Well, whichever one you pick, I'm sure you're going to have a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Trying it out. And you'll have to report back next month, Monty.
I will do that.
Okay. Well, we are not done yet, folks, because it is time for the quarterly paint contest. So every 3 months, we do this bad boy, sponsored by Gripping Beast once again. So this quarter's theme will be shields. So paint a point of Saga. So a warlord is not a point, it's a warlord. So it's got to be a point of Saga, of Hearthguards, warriors, or Levy, and they must have shields. And the shields will be the focus. We'll give extra points to good-looking shields this time around. How's that sound, Monty?
That is excellent.
Yeah, so the transfers, Little Big Man Studios, obviously those look good. Hard to beat those. So it's definitely not cheating to use them. If they look good, they look good. The issue with those is, do they match the rest of the model? So in my opinion, a lot of times that's not the case, but and many times it is. So that'll kind of be a threshold that will have to be overcome if you do use the little Big Man Studio stuff. You know, make sure the pretty shields match the rest of the models in quality. So we are going to end this on October. Actually, we got a lot of 5. It's a 5 Saga Thursday month here, Monty. 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, 31st. So we're going to give you all the way until November 3rd. Wow, very generous of us, Monty, aren't we? Very generous. So that is over 5 weeks, close to 5 weeks, whatever. Math is not my strong suit generally. So paint a unit of models equipped with a shield and do your best job on the shield. Me and Monty will pick our favorite using our nebulous criteria, and one person will be randomly selected and they'll win a 25-pound gift certificate to the Beast. So definitely participate. You don't have to paint good to be a winner, but if you do get selected as our favorite, we'll send you a Saga Thirsty Thursday pint glass, and you need to submit it on the Discord server. I'll have all the instructions below here, but essentially right now, Monty, get that thumbs up going, or thumbs down, actually. Yeah. Bring them back a little bit further, closer to your head. There we go. So take a picture with your unpainted models in front of the screen right now. And then, all right, we're good, Monty. You'll post that before pick on the Discord server. And then when the model is done being painted, you'll post that finished pick. Please say who the manufacturer is. So we're always guessing that. And
good one.
I've always meant to say, please indicate the manufacturer, but this might be the first time I've actually remembered to say that. So please say who the manufacturer is as well, so everybody knows where your sweet models came from. So you've got the month of October to get that done. That should be cool. Looking forward to some cool looking shields out there. Otherwise, I do have a link to the Discord server below where you can get in on the contest, check out all the action, all the discussion. So, Monty, our fact discussion was just the tip of the iceberg. You saw a lot of stuff out there, too much for me to do more than skim through, but glad to see everybody was pretty excited overall. People were pretty mixed. I don't know. But that's just the way it is these days. So, also on the Saga Thursday Discord server, you can get on over the player finder, put your pin down, let folks know where you're playing Saga, and you can find people who are playing Saga in your area. On the Patreon, head on over there. There are, I think, 28, 29 additional episodes of Saga Thursday available as soon as you sign up. And you can also sign up for free over there. Sometimes there's free videos. There's a interview with Alex that's free that you can find on there. So well worth checking out. And we do have to thank Patrick, Sean, Mitchell, Scott, Frank, Britt, DJ, and the rest of those Saga Thursday patrons. Wouldn't be doing a video every week here in 2024 without these guys. So really appreciate it, guys. And coming up here, well, I got a few different pokers in the fire here. Hopefully I'll be able to get the next round of the Fimble Winter campaign going with Zach. But yeah, got a few different videos here. So we will have videos, but I'm not exactly sure which ones will make it at which point. But check back next Thursday, I guess, and see what it is. Monty, thanks again, buddy. I know we had some technical gremlins we overcame. Always appreciate it. Thanks for putting in the effort. And I'm bummed I won't get to see you this weekend, but hopefully a month later, maybe we'll meet up in person and do it. So, all right. That's it, folks. We'll check you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.